Hey everyone, welcome into episode number 4 of Inside the Cape with Josh Richardson. I'm Corey Miller in for Grace and Ailey today. We're here at Readers Hardwood getting set, Josh, for the playoff push. Getting set in August should be an exciting episode.
Yeah, we're going to take a good preview at those playoffs, see what else is going to go on across Cape Cod, and maybe even get an interview with Readers Hardwood owner.
Well, we're here at Readers Hardwood, our playoff sponsor, but normally we'd be getting set for some game action between some of the Cape League teams. So for more on that, let's send it over to a day in our life.
If you can dream it, if you can cruise in it, if you can summer in it, fish from it, or take it for a day at the beach, we can protect it. The Baldwin Group, protecting the possible.
Hey everyone, I'm Corey Miller from just north of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I'm a rising senior at Syracuse University.
And I'm Josh Richardson. I'm from just south of Albany, New York, and I'm also a rising senior at Syracuse University.
And we're going to be taking you guys through a day in our life. So basically, we get up every morning. I think Josh and I do our own kind of individual prep, get ready for the day mostly, and then we usually get here around 2 o'clock for home games here at Spillane Field, and that's when, for me, I like to start a lot of the work, just kind of getting out of the house, new atmosphere, new environment. For me, doing the game notes and getting some of those stats from previous games down, which help us kind of tell the story of each game through those game notes to get some of those numbers. Obviously, a TV broadcast more conducive to some of those storylines, so writing some of those down, reading the post-game recap from last night by our beat writer Joe McLaughlin, getting some of those quotes that he talked to either the manager, coaches, or players about. At some point between when we get here in game time, we have that pregame show. Sometimes it fluctuates when we do it, but we got to fit that in there. And then occasionally I like to come down, watch BP. We get a good view of it from the John Wild press box, but always like to be down on the field sometimes, get a sense of what's going on with the players, the coaches.
I usually start my day, I go through and I update all of the stats from our players on the big shared OneNote that has access to stats for every single player across Cape Cod, updated from all of the other broadcasters as well. So huge shout out to them for us making that happen and being so collaborative on that. And then we show up to the field and then we just kind of go through our prep. Both of us do a little bit different things, but a lot of it does kind of overlap. So overall, it's a good process. It works, and yeah, that's that usually.
Well, in terms of broadcasters, I think it's pretty unique because going to Syracuse, we've gotten to see a lot of people we go to school with and our friends come through the Cape with the various different teams, and we've gotten to learn from them both up here and at school. And obviously, we're up here with just a handful of Syracuse
just
guys.
A few.
But I think kind of sticking with the Wareham community, getting to see Mike Monaco and the work he does across the number of sports he does, come through here and obviously do fantastic work with Wareham, doing the College World Series and doing tennis, 2 completely different sports, but no matter what the sport he's doing, he's delivering such a compelling narrative. The storylines of that particular game or sport, he's just a pro's pro. So I think for me, that's my favorite Cape League broadcaster.
You stole Mike Monaco from me, Corey, so I'm going to have to pivot. Just thinking about, a lot of Syracuse guys that we've grown up with, anybody that's ever gone to Syracuse, because we've gotten to learn from them and gotten critiques from a majority of them and seeing how they work and kind of getting to be, very personable with them and just kind of getting to be around them on a day-to-day basis is pretty cool. And I think that I look up to them a lot more than I, look up to anybody that I haven't met, just because I've gotten to have that, kind of behind the scenes moments with them.
Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the day in our life. Well, Josh, as they always are, that was a pretty fun day to be calling some baseball.
That was great. I mean, what more could you really ask for at that point? Got to call some good baseball, be with some good people. That was the best.
Absolutely, as really all the days are here in Cape Cod. But something that's really been great, as you got to see, has been calling these baseball games. And man, has it been a fun regular season, both in the East and the West. But how is this playoff picture shaping up? For more on that, let's segue over to our East-West playoff preview.
There hasn't been a ton of training when it comes to bat speed or products for players to be able to train bat speed. You can improve your bat speed and reach your goals working 10 to 15 minutes a day on this a couple of times a week. That's a no-brainer for every player.
Cape Cod 5 is proud to be the official banking partner of the Cape Cod Baseball League. Cape Cod 5 offers a broad range of financial products and services tailored for every stage in your financial journey. Reach out to us. We're here to help.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the 4th episode of Inside the Cape, presented by Readers Hardwood with Josh Richardson. I'm Corey Miller, in for Alien Grace, getting set for our playoff preview today. Josh, obviously 2 divisions, the West and the East, that have really been highly contested throughout the summer. We'll start with the West and the team that has been leading the pack in that second half of the season, the Wareham Gatemen, really on the back of just what has been a almost generational Wareham offense.
Well, and at this point, Corey, how could you not? I mean, with the state of the Gatemen at the current moment atop that West Division, the only team above 500 as it currently stands with 4 games to play. I mean, that's a dangerous team. You look at offensively, it's been there for a majority of the season, leading the league in runs, home runs, RBIs, doubles, triples. I mean, you name it at that point. But offensively has been great. The pitching staff has been what has really come across and been that overpowering factor over these last week or two, especially with, a couple of those guys, Caden McDonald and Josh Butler, leading the pack of starters, and then a bullpen that has been really shut down at the end of games. Overall, that's going to be a dangerous Wareham team with a complete team heading into the playoffs.
You said it, a complete team for sure, and then we move along to Bourne, the team that's really been nipping at the Gatemen's heels towards the end of the regular season. On one end, the ERA, 2 separate stints this summer, worse than the league, but the offense for them too has carried the load.
Well, if the Gatemen are going to be the short favorites in the West Division, then Bourne is going to be an underdog that everybody is going to have their money on, or going to want to have their money on, because of how effective that team has been against the Gatemen this summer. 4-1 against Wareham with an offense that can light you up 1 through 9. The pitching staff is going to be the big question. ERA right around 5, towards the bottom of Cape Cod. That's a team that's really going to have to try and buckle down on the mound, because the offense is going to produce. If they can kind of get the best of both worlds cooking in the playoffs, it's going to be a really difficult team to stop.
And they've maintained that offensive production despite some key losses in the lineup, like Kahil Aloy, the home run derby champion, but they've just kept on churning, a really consistent team. Moving ahead to Cotuit, another potential 2-way threat, top 3 in the league when you look at both hitting and pitching stats, OPS and ERA. They're getting it done on both sides.
Which is interesting because they're under 500 in 3rd place in their division, but such a wild card is Cotuit because of how great that pitching staff is. The offense has come up as of late as well. The one of only 2 teams in the West Division with a positive run differential. The only other team, the Gatemen, above 500. It shows that maybe on the surface level, Cotuit under 500, but when you look at all the statistics, the Kettleers are a lot better than what normally meets the eye.
A lot of lefties in that lineup too. 5 lefty bats plus a switch hitter. A lot of kind of guys who have been long haulers over the course of the summer, like Caden Bogenpol in the outfield. So the Kettleers, a lot of familiar names anchoring that team. So from Cotuit, we'll continue to make our way eastward across the West Division, and we move ahead to Hyannis, a team that was at one point first place in the early going this summer in that West Division. But once some of those key bats like Andrew Williamson departed the team, have kind of struggled to fill their shoes in the heart of the order.
Yeah, from opening day until about that first weekend in July, Hyannis was in first place with no signs of slowing down, building off of that first place finish in the regular season last summer. But then you get a couple guys to leave, a team that's had so much roster changeover over the course of this season now finds itself all the way down in 4th place, just fighting to get in the playoffs. It's going to be a tight race, but that's an offense that can really get going when the bats get hot, and a pitching staff that has shut down some of the Gatemen's, or some of the Cape's best teams, most notably the Gatemen, just a few days ago.
Yeah, just one run in that contest, a kind of inconsistent team, 11-0 the loss one night, then they win over Bourne 12-0 the next night. But let's round things out with the Falmouth Commodores, a team that hasn't lost a ton of guys in terms of bats especially, but that starting staff rotation up over 5 this summer, innings 1 through 7. They were at one point in first place in the West Division, but now outside looking in.
The bullpen's been great. The starting rotation has not been, and that's going to be the key. The bats can get going at any moment, especially with that team coached by Jared Saltalamakia. I mean, that offense has a lot of the returners, a lot of guys that have been here for a majority of the season. Just hoping that front-end pitching can be a little bit better. If the offense can kind of keep it, to a 1-run game, a 2-run game, the pitching staff performs well in those first 4 or 5 innings, then hopefully the bullpen can kind of carry them the rest of the way and maybe sneak into a playoff spot. There's still a little bit of work to do, 3 points behind Hyannis for that 4th spot in the West, but definitely not a long shot or really out of the picture by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, on the outside looking in, but as you mentioned, everyone's just really kind of highly contested in that West Division. You got to go back to the 80s, the last time everything was this clumped together, 1st to 5th place, but obviously 4 playoff spots on the line. The Gatemen lead the way, but a lot of teams right at their heels. It should be an exciting finish, an exciting postseason action. So that's the West Division, how things are shaping up. But we can't forget about the East. We're up against our first break here, but when we come back, we're talking all things East Division.
Here at the Mass State Lottery, we know there's no bigger win than the $1 billion we provide each year to support all 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. Now that's how we all win. The Mass State Lottery. Welcome to the state of winning.
Welcome back to Spillane Field, where we're going through a playoff preview. We just finished up the West, Corey. Now it's time for the East, and we have to start with the division leaders, the Harwich Mariners, a team that as of late has really come on, hovering right around that 3 and 4 spot in the East Division, and now jumping all the way up to first place with just a few games to go.
Yeah, the book on the Mariners has kind of been, it seems like, the same throughout the summer. It's that great pitching staff, seemingly atop the league in ERA throughout the summer. They kind of had that bump in the middle part of the season when a lot of guys either getting ready for the draft, going back to school, they had to cut ties with, but then were able to weather that storm. They got a great staff, a solid nucleus of hitters that does score runs, top 5 in the league in runs scored, and then you get to Christian Rodriguez at the back end of that bullpen. That's not where you want to be if you're an opposing team. The Mariners shut down pitching in the playoffs could be really effective.
Now, how interesting is that, right? One of the top ERAs, if not the top ERA in Cape Cod, atop the league in runs scored as well, but one of the worst batting averages also. So going to be a really interesting mix come playoff time. Now we'll shift over to Orleans, a team that has been rising, and the stock has just been through the roof as of late. 4 straight wins for the Firebirds as we record this now with 4 games to go. That's a team that's really getting hot at the right time and can be really dangerous come playoff time.
They sure are. It feels like almost an underrated team, if there is such a thing, in the playoffs, because they've dug themselves a bunch of holes this summer, but they've always climbed out of them. And for a lot of the season, it was the offense that kind of was the Achilles heel. 1 point last in the league in average, but they're starting to slug more. Over the past 7 days, first in the league in home runs, and then they were kind of trying at one point to figure out their starting rotation. They've got a solid core of arms, both starting and coming out of the bullpen, so both sides, they're getting hot at the right time.
Well, and one of the reasons why you might consider Orleans a little underrated, well, because it's been Harwich, YD, and Brewster atop of that East Division for a majority of the season. We'll get to the first of that right now. YD, the first team that we haven't mentioned, that was a team that at one point this year won 9 straight, looked like the best team, and was just going to propel that East Division and just run away with it. But now it's kind of started to fall back to earth, and now with a couple games to go, trying to just fight in that mix for playoff positioning.
Yeah, they've kind of been playing 500 baseball, and when you look at the numbers, that kind of makes sense because they're kind of middle of the pack in terms of both pitching and hitting numbers. You know, top 2 seeds, obviously, in their respective divisions get the home field advantage. I think for the Red Sox, that could go a long way. The shorter dimensions at Red Wilson Field, where the All-Star Game and Home Run Derby was, the Red Sox obviously know better than anyone had to play at that home park. You have Brady Hamilton, the East Division starter in that All-Star Game, a bona fide ace. So if you get to him in Game 1, good winning formula for the Red Sox.
Now, we talked about that. YD won 9 straight at one point in the year and just trying to fight for that positioning as it stands now. We mentioned Hyannis in 4th place in the West as of right now, but atop of that West Division for a majority of June, early July. Now, Brewster, the Whitecaps, started the season 6-0, and since then have really fallen back down to earth in 4th place in the East, with another team that has a pretty dominant pitching staff, but just trying to find out how to move about these last 4 games of the season.
Yeah, it just kind of tells you how competitive and how talented the East Division has been, that Brewster's kind of gone on the season they've had, and they're still in 4th place, just one spot removed from a postseason spot. But you said it, the staff for the Whitecaps has been really solid this summer, and they have games where they can really put it together on both sides of the baseball, both pitching and hitting, and that's when they're truly a dangerous team, because they're going to give you 5 runs, only allow around 2 kind of a game. But they've had really a lot of success in replacing some of the guys who have had to leave, like Alex Sosa. They've gotten other catchers behind the plate. Some of the arms that have come in have been really effective this summer as well. So the Whitecaps, even though they're in 4th spot, a dangerous team.
Brewster with 19 wins on the summer as it stands right now, 4 games to play. The only other team in the league that has 19 wins that isn't above Brewster, well, Wareham atop of the West Division. So it shows you how competitive that East is, 1 through 4, and then you get down to 5. Chatham, a below 500, the only team in the East Division below 500. That's a team that as of late has really been struggling, mainly defensively, a lot of errors for the Anglers.
And that's kind of cost them, because in a lot of categories they've been producing well. At one point, right behind the Wareham Gatemen, the league's best offense in terms of runs scored. They just haven't gotten rewarded, in large part because of that sloppy defensive play. But even still, you look at that lineup, kind of we talked about it with Hyannis as well. The fact that they lost so many key bats, Henry Ford, a standout player, obviously going to Tennessee next summer, kind of carried the load a lot early in the season at top of that Chatham order. They lost him and some other big-name players. That plus the defense has really sank the Anglers.
Yeah, Chatham not officially eliminated from playoff contention as it stands right now, but certainly a long way to go for the Anglers. Well, that wraps up our playoff preview for both the East and the West divisions. Corey, let's head back to Reader's Hardware. Let's go.
There we go. Whew, Corey, that was a pretty fun playoff preview, right?
It sure was. I mean, there's a lot to be excited for in both the East and the West. The standings have been jam-packed throughout the regular season, so it's really going to be exciting to see who can break through the pack in the playoffs and claim a Cape League title.
Who do you think it's going to be, Corey?
Oh, come
Pop
on.
quiz.
Guard the gate. Go
Think
Gatemen.
so?
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
We'll see what happens. Well, we're back at Reader's Hardwood, the sponsor of the 2025 playoffs. We were lucky enough to interview Jim Reader, the owner.
If you need to dig, lift, move, grade, clear, or cut, pump, weld, clean, light, and just about anything else, dial up the rental source for the newest and the most reliable equipment in New England. Staffed with equipment and construction experts, Milton Rents, your local source.
You can make any bat feel lighter by adding a velo puck knob. Instead of having to go get a whole entirely new bat, you can simply add the puck to it. Players can use this with any bat. It's basically going to shift the weight of the bat a little bit more towards the hands. Players are able to hit the ball a lot harder just by simply adding the puck on.
I'm Raina Majalet, and I'm joined alongside business owner Jim Reader. Jim, thank you so much for having us out today.
You're welcome.
So tell us about you and your business for those who are watching who may not be familiar.
Well, I like to call ourselves the Woodworkers Candy Store. Whether you're a professional or an amateur, we have over 70 species of hardwood and softwood lumber, all in self-serve bins available for your selection, because you, the woodworker, are the only one that knows your project better than anyone else.
What can shoppers expect when coming into your store?
They can expect basically old-time service. We're all here to assist and help out, and that's something you can't get at a big box store.
You've been open just over 4 years now. Where did it start, and what do you see the future for Reader's Hardwood?
I started back in 1990 at my father's company, a company called Downs and Reader. We were in Stoughton, and I worked there for 27 years. And I opened this during the pandemic because the company that bought us out did not want to do this end of it anymore, and this is where I had the most fun.
What do you want people to know about Reader's Hardwood Supply?
Good question. Basically, we are the Woodworkers Candy Store. If you're a first-timer and you come here, expect to spend a couple hours here because it's a little overwhelming for newbies.
Thank you so much, Jim.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, Jim, what drew you to wanting to be a sponsor for Cape Cod?
Paula and I have lived on the Cape for over 25 years, and it's an organization that where a fair amount of the money goes directly to what it's used for, and that way we can give back and feel as though it's all going to a great cause, especially because there's so much enjoyment for everybody out of a Cape League game.
How does it feel to be a locally owned business that, you know, is in partnership with such a community-driven league?
That's a great question. For us, it's our local roots, and you know, going to a game and experiencing that when our kids were young is a great experience. They all get to basically go shag a foul ball or get to see these towering guys come by, because they were only little guys when, you know, they were going. But it just really is has a cool factor to it.
Going to games, being a sponsor of the Cape League, living in Bourne for 25 plus years, what does baseball mean to you? I mean, to do all of that, it's got to mean a lot.
It does. You know, it all started when I was young and watching Dodgers games with my grandmother. She was always a Dodgers fan. But, you know, it has a lot of cool factor to it. It's nothing like seeing a Cape League game and going and seeing all those boys go out there, and they're all working their butts off trying to get the scouts to look at them and get signed, and you never know who's going to wind up. And you know, so I go in and I see Jaron Duran and Connor Wong. I saw these guys play at a Cape League game. There's nothing like it.
It's great. Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome.
Hey everyone, back here with Jim at Reader's Hardwood Supply, the sponsor of the 2025 Cape League playoffs. So Jim, as a Cape League fan and also a business owner, what does it mean for you to be able to sponsor these playoffs this year?
Well, it does have a cool factor to it, and it allows my wife and I to be able to give back to the local community, especially where there's thousands of fans go to see the Cape League every single summer, and it's our way of helping out.
So I've heard that you are a Bourne Braves fan, correct?
Yeah, it's certainly are. We've lived in Bourne for over 25 years, and it's great to see those guys go out and do what they need to do to win.
So besides maybe a Braves championship, anything else you're hoping to see in the playoffs?
I'd like to see a lot of guys get signed in the future by Major League. That's got a cool factor to it.
So obviously we're here in Taunton at Reader's Hardwood Supply, but Cape League has teams all throughout the Cape, up and down. So how are you hoping this partnership kind of deepens your roots and your connection to the Massachusetts community?
Well, our goal is to try to see a Braves game at every single park. We've luckily seen 2 of them so far, so hopefully we'll get to more of them. But it's a really great organization, and we're glad to be a part of it.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for taking the time today and for sponsoring the playoffs.
Alrighty.
A big thank you to Jim Reader for taking the time to talk with us here today. He's got an incredible operation here in Taunton, Massachusetts, and for sponsoring, of course, the 2025 playoffs. Sounds like he's got his money on the Braves.
I can't really argue with that, Corey. You said he lived in Bourne for, 25 years? I mean, to be a locally owned businessman like that, I mean, it really is incredible. Now, we'd have to imagine that Jim probably knows a good amount about Cape Cod and the league as a whole. He's been around it for so often, but maybe not some of the players and coaches that have only been here for a year or two. For more on that, we'll send it over to Raina Magillet.
Here at the Mass State Lottery, we're known for our monster wins. But there's no bigger win than the $1 billion we provide each year to support all 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. In our game, we know that supporting local businesses and helping communities is how we all win. Because at the lottery, we're all playing for the home team. The Mass State Lottery. Welcome to the state of winning.
Thanks, Corey and Josh. I'm Raina Magillet, and today I'm going to be testing the Wareham Gatemen on their Cape Cod Baseball League knowledge. First question, what year was the CCBL formed?
I'm gonna go 1922.
I'm gonna say 1923.
Caden, you got that point. That was so close. Okay. What Cape Cod Baseball League team has the most championships?
Brewster.
Okay.
Chatham.
It's who it. Okay, that was close. Now, if you had to guess, how many championship titles do you think that they have? They have the most out of the whole league. 23.
Jeez, 102 years.
7.
7? Okay.
I'm gonna go 21.
17. When was the last time the Gatemen have won a championship?
I'm gonna go with 5, 8. Do you need like
2025. I'm gonna go with what is 2015.
2018.
2018. You really know your knowledge. Okay, in total, so like veteran, current, farm, like everything, current and rookie, CC or veteran CCBL alum of all time.
Of all time?
Yeah.
All time. And it was what, 370 just right now?
It's not as much as you would think. Yeah.
Let's go 650.
Okay.
Double? Yeah, just double.
1,000.
Okay, there's, how much is that? Over 1,600. It's like roughly 1,600. I don't know how many, but I think you won, TJ. In total, veterans, active, farm system included.
All right, now I'll go first. 1,200.
So currently
Calculated.
1,200. It's actually not a bad guess, but we're gonna go with 1050.
1050? 1,600.
So I went.
You won!
Well, thanks, Randall. Corey, I don't know if I could have answered all of those questions. Could you?
I don't know.
Some of those were pretty
They
tough.
were definitely pretty tough as we wrap things up here at Readers Hardwood. We just want to thank Jim and everyone here for not only having us out today, but for sponsoring the whole 2025 playoffs. And speaking of those 2025 playoffs, all that action begins on August 5th. You can catch everything on Cape League TV.